Okay, we're live. 212 already? This is the start
213?
for 213? Yikes. Oh, I think I entitled this 212. Want me to redo the event?
I think you can just edit it, can't you?
Probably, yeah. All right, so it may say 212 on the screen, everybody, but this is 213. I thought we did 211 last time, and then I saw like some notes flying back and forth about 212, and shows if I know. Anyway, without further ado, hello and welcome to episode 213 of the Nerdstravaganza podcast, where this week we talk about a nerdy topic. Unlike any other week, I suppose. I'm Tom.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Cam.
And by nerdy topic, of course, we mean comics and some new, um, developments on both the Marvel and DC side of things. You might think of it as a rebirth on the DC side. That, I'll go ahead and confess, is the more interesting of the two for me. But should be interesting. So, with that said, I will remind our listeners that this show is reborn every week with a new episode, and you can be there to witness the miracle of its rebirth by subscribing to us on iTunes. And since you're going to be in the operating theater, is that where babies are born? Whatever. Since you're going to be in the delivery room anyway, you might as well give us stars and a great rating. So, with all that said, let's commence tonight's episode in our usual fashion with our weekly geekly weekly update. And Brian, what have you been up to this week?
I guess this makes sense. I don't really follow television seasons, but this week was like the final episode of all my favorite shows, so I'm actually kind of excited about that. I've been watching Ink Master, which is like the sole exception to my hatred of reality television. That wound up. My guy didn't win, but I really like the guy that did, so that's fine. At least like the guy that was like a cocky asshole all season didn't win. And I actually I guess it was like a little 10-episode run. It wasn't like really like a long running series. But did anybody catch You, Me, Her?
No.
I don't think so, no.
Pretty neat topic. I mean, it's kind of like a sort of a love triangle, but it wound up being like not a triangle. Like it was a husband and wife falling in love with a younger, more attractive, more cool female.
Oh.
And that wrapped up last night.
Did she reciprocate?
Yeah, actually it was, I guess, what are they calling it now? Not polyamorous anymore. They're calling it polyromantic.
Amor or whatever. Amorous and romantic seem to be synonymous in my mind, but I might be wrong.
Well, I think people complain because you're mixing roots with polyamorous. Poly being, I don't know, Greek or Latin, amorous being the other.
So it's polyromantic?
Well, I mean, that's what television calls it. I wouldn't go by that.
Sure, whatever. They better be careful what bathrooms they use. That's all I have to say.
Well, neither of them were transgendered, but
still, I don't want no poly whatever in my bathroom with my kid. Sorry, I got political for a second.
But good show. I mean, at its heart, it was just a romantic comedy or whatever. But neat to see different lifestyles getting different playtime.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Sweet.
Didn't know
Tom,
you'll
have to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't know you were like an avid TV watcher, Brian. I didn't know you had like your shows. That's
cool. Not many. I mean, that kind of wipes me out for the season.
Okay.
Tom, you'll have to comment on this. The television, the series took place in Seattle, and the hardest thing for me to believe about it was that like everybody in Seattle was like judgmental assholes. Oh my God, you can't date a woman. You're married. Wow, you'll lose your job. You'll be ostracized. This is a nice neighborhood.
Really? I wonder where.
I don't remember. A fancy suburb.
Oh, that may have a little more to do with it. Yeah. Okay. The parts of Seattle I run around in, I'm the uptight.
I thought they'd be a little more cutting edge.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think Seattle proper is just may, as you said, may have been a little more suburbia. Hmm. Or they played it up for TV.
Yeah, probably.
Awesome, man. What else?
Reading the comics, which I guess we're going to talk about. Um, Not playing yet, but very intrigued by this. I get the PlayStation Network Plus emails every week, and apparently Last Blade 2 is available for PS4.
That game's awesome. Did
I
you
I
ever,
remember that from long ago. I didn't even know they made it still.
I suffered through the shitty load times of the Neo Geo CDZ to play that, and God, I actually kind of missed the CDZ, even though it was not a great machine. But that game was awesome, man.
It's like 1350 on PSN right now.
Totally worth it.
Yeah.
Good music, great game. Like, I find with Neo Geo games now when you play them, especially on like the high def TVs, they're like pixely at first, but once your eyes like adjust, you're like, God damn, this is beautiful.
I believe this is actually a like remastered version, so you may
Ooh.
not have to deal with that.
Oh, I may have to make that happen then, because that Last Blade and Last Blade 2 were badass.
It looks pretty cool.
Nice. Makes me happy. Um, Cam, if you never played those, did you ever play Samurai Showdown at all back in the day?
Yes.
So
You're talking
imagine,
about one of all those old Neo Geo games, like from the
yeah.
stand-up arcade? Yeah. Yeah.
So Samurai Showdown, like, imagine like the samurai from Japan being present in like the old West, which was like the contemporary time, I guess, and you have like the makings of this fighting game, and it's badass.
Oh man, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. Sweet. Last Blade. Nice. Anything else, man? Sounds like cool stuff.
No, that was most of it.
All right. What about you, Cam? You been playing some old Neo Geo games on the Xbox One or PlayStation or something?
Always, man. No, I've actually been playing a lot of games, but it's been of the tabletop and RPG variety. This weekend, I had a kind of a nerd party at my house. We we played the End of the World RPG scenario, which Chris, our reporter slash RPG guru, who's been doing the RPG YouTube videos, did an end of the world scenario with some friends of mine a couple weeks ago, and he's been dropping little 20-30 minute snippets throughout the Tom, you were on there, Tom and,
Yep.
and your companion, and we liked it so much that we went ahead and had a party at my house. I had two of the books. I have the End of the World by Aliens and End of the World by the Gods, like Ragnarok, Cthulhu, etc. And so we had two different DMs, we had two different games going, one upstairs, one downstairs. Of course, I had to be upstairs here in my my gaming loft that I finally finished, and we had a great time. I mean, I think we had about 6 people and a DM per game, and we had a great time. I mean, we literally were doing it for hours. We made it like sort of a potluck thing, so everyone brought some food, and we all just sort of hung around. Played games and ate, and then we broke into like little groups afterwards and played some tabletop games once we were done, and it was a nice way to spend a Saturday.
Nice, man.
Yeah, it was a really good time. And let's see what else. I've been following some Kickstarters. I backed the new Coup Brazilian Art Deluxe Edition. I backed Don't Mess with Cthulhu, which is a little funny looking game, and I backed a game called Grifters, which looks really cool. The art looks awesome. That's usually what draws me in. So looking forward to seeing those games. Gearing up for Origins, which is in about 2 weeks in Columbus, Ohio. So I'll be heading up there for a while. And yeah, I mean, as you can see, I put the final finishing touches on my gaming loft. I had to get it done before the party on Saturday, and it was up to the minute, but got it all done, and that's it.
Awesome. That sounds like a pretty full week, very gaming heavy, and that's you know how to throw a party, evidently. And yeah, the gaming loft looks
Yeah.
impressive. You look like a full-on nerd. Like even if those are just like halves of empty boxes, I'm
Yeah,
impressed.
just like fake TV thing. You touch it, it's like not real.
Yeah, yeah, it all
No,
falls apart.
yeah, no, it's yeah, the party was fun. Any more excitement and a funeral would have broke out. Boom, boom.
Good one.
To prove how hardly socially inept I am, I seem to recall having been invited to that.
You
Sorry?
guys were invited, but no problem.
I apologize.
I completely thought that was like a for the future thing. Like I did not.
Oh, and I cannot go by without showing you guys this. I got
Oh my god.
the Settlers of Catan 3D Deluxe Edition, which is like a treasure chest. It's like a 3D collector's edition. It comes with all these like awesome minis.
Nice.
And it comes with these really sick like 3D terrain tiles to play Catan.
Wow.
So that's like the ore, you know what I mean? Like the forest and all that's all different. Anytime next party we'll be breaking out the 3D Catan.
Now, is Catan like too mainstream for real gamers or what? Like, because I've heard assholes say that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
is that the truth?
I think you just answered your own question.
Okay, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe assholes happen to share opinions with people I actually like. So.
It is. I wouldn't say it's too mainstream. You're always gonna have those guys or people that are like, oh well, Catan. I mean, that's a baby game. I mean, you already have that to a great extent with all the other board games like Monopoly and stuff like that. I mean, if you go on Board Game Geek's Facebook or forums, like you can't go a day without someone posting some picture about with someone with like their Monopoly game saying, oh yeah, real gamer, right? Like it's so stupid. It's a board game. If you like it, you like it. If it's Monopoly, fine, more power to you. As long as you're playing board games, that's all I care about. But Catan, I think Catan gets a pass because it's like the Godfather of games almost. You know what I mean? Like I mean, it certainly is a gateway game, but it's so ubiquitous in the gaming community that there's no way like one person could be like, oh, Catan sucks. I mean, they'd get flamed.
Okay, all right, good to know. Because I've enjoyed Catan in the past and have.
Yeah.
My only complaint for it would be it's not a great game to like get people in because chances are like they've played it or seen it or something like that. Like it is so common that you probably want to go in a different direction when you're trying to like convert somebody. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't make it bad. I love the game personally.
Well, and it's a great way, like especially for our gaming groups and stuff like that. When people ask like, oh, what kind of games do you guys play at your game night? You know what I mean? If you say Catan, most people will be like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. They'll have at least heard of it, if not played it. So it's a good way to not intimidate people, because I know like people email me all the time to come to our game night at Adventure Game Store. And they're like, well, what kind of games you guys play? I'm not really used to, all these crazy games. And typically, Catan will sort of ease their worry. But actually, you know what? Speaking of Catan, I actually downloaded their app on the Google Play, off Google Play, and it's pretty fun actually. I've been playing Catan on my tablet, and also Ascension. I mean, if you've ever listened to the show, DC Deck Building is like one of my favorite games, but they don't have a viable app yet, I guess. So I had to satisfy my deck building Jones with Ascension. I have like all the Ascensions right there, but it's much easier to play on your tablet if you are in a car or somewhere where you can't play with a bunch of people. So that's good. And oh, Tom, you'll be happy to hear that Agricola has come out with a new streamlined version. And this weekend, while I am at the Adventure Game Store demoing Munchkin Marvel, which is actually a really cool game. Like, I mean, Munchkin is Munchkin. That's a game where like people are like, oh, if you like Munchkin, you're an asshole. And I sort of, I can sort of understand why. But they came out with a Nightmare Before Christmas version a couple months ago.
Yeah, that was
before
awesome.
Christmas, which was cool. Yeah.
And
now I have the Munchkin Marvel version, which I'm going to be demoing at the Adventure Game Store, and at the same time, someone else will be demoing the new streamlined, revised rules Agricola, which is supposedly making it supposed to make it a more appealable game to non-crazy mutants.
Your peasant can starve to death twice as fast.
Yeah, exactly. You have a shitty time, you just do it in half the time.
Technically, that's an improvement.
Yeah,
I'd be more likely to play it again.
Exactly. So stop by the Adventure Game Store if you want to play Munchkin or Agricola on Saturday, 12 to 5.
I would recommend Munchkin, personally. Just gonna put that out there. Although, traumatizing experiences with both games in terms of how I was introduced. I was sort of pressed into service in a game of Agricola, and oh god, that was drudgery. And then Brian and I were actually, I don't want to talk too much.
But I never played that time, though. That was just very off-putting.
Yeah,
it was years before I played Munchkin. Like, actually sat down and played it.
Yeah, when we went to the Adventure Game Store, was it our first time kind of reacquainting ourselves with that ecosystem back in the day, Brian? Or
that was my first time at what is called the Adventure Game Store that had been called Dragon's Lair. I was at the Dragon's Lair, never there before.
Okay, so it was our first time at the Adventure Game Store itself, and we were accosted by a
very enthusiastic fan.
yeah, and his enthusiasm was uncomfortable. So.
Jeez.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll get over my fear, and the Nightmare Before Christmas one got me over it. I'm good. I'm good to go. I don't know about Agricola though, man. I've never recovered from that.
It's so funny. I was talking to Keith last night, and he remembered that time that we all played. He even remembered the guy's name. I couldn't remember the guy's name. That was like pushing that pushed it on us or whatever. he's like, oh yeah, it was so and so. I remember he was bringing Agricola and Puerto Rico around, and he kept people wanting to play. And I was like, yeah, and that basically put us all off to that game for the last 3 years.
God, here's a plotting, mind-numbing game. How do we make it worse? I know. How about a bunch of little plotting, mind-numbing subsystems? Oh yeah,
yeah.
If you're the type of person that likes learning tedious systems and likes just loops within loops, then that's a wonderful game. But
that is actually a huge selling point to a lot of people.
Yeah, they like it. They like all that going on.
The minutia is its own thing.
Oh god, that dragged. Anyway, Agricola. We're not really selling it. Stop by and check it out.
Yeah.
All right, over to me then. You done?
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks for the update. Mine's pretty short and sweet. Let's see, what have I been doing? Oh, I beat Arkham Origins for the 360, and then did a little bit of like trophy gathering to get some achievements, and then moved on. Now I'm current gen with the Batman at least. Now playing Arkham Knight, which so far, unlike the other games where you're like flying around Gotham and beating up bad guys, well, the first one you were in Arkham Asylum, but other than that, you're flying around parts of Gotham in these other games, beating up bad guys, with your gadgets and fists. This one involves a lot of tank combat, which is an unusual. The Batmobile is kind of a big tank, and like these thugs and these like goofballs taking over Gotham City have like just shit tons of tanks. Like these guys have a lot of money. They can fund an army. This city must be valuable, and you're like engaged in a lot of tank combat around Gotham.
Oh.
It's fun. I'm just not really sure that's like Batman-y.
Makes as much sense as what they do with their comics.
I suppose. Is that a reference to tonight's topic?
Well, yeah, and restarting everything and changing tones and.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to that. I'm so curious because it seems like yesterday that they restarted everything, and now they restarted everything. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, apart from that, I bought tickets to Star Wars Celebration 2017, which is in Orlando, Florida this year or next year, guys. So no Anaheim. Yeah, take that, Anaheim. No, Anaheim's nice. I like it, but it's cool that it's going to be here. So I'm going to go. I've never been to one, and I think it's next April. Get your tickets now. It's not too late. In addition, I thought I had one more bit of news to share, but it's not springing readily to on a nerdy transit front, I'm really excited that the light rail system here in our hometown of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, is being overseen by another state organization as opposed to the organization that was overseeing it, because it's more likely to come to fruition faster now.
Okay.
That is that's interesting to me and like 1% of the population, but I've really wanted a streetcar down here forever, and it's happening. No excitement on that one. Okay.
No. I actually have a news item sort of related to that, but we'll get to that.
All right. Then I'll pivot to one final topic. Speaking of Fort Lauderdale, and speaking of new reboots of comics, and me needing to maybe spread the subscription wealth around if they're good, Fort Lauderdale Comics finally opened here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Lauderdale Comics, I should say. And I haven't been by there yet, but I'm going to check it out because I've been driving past that place, like almost rear-ending people, like, is it open yet? Is it open yet? And it's finally open. So I really like Corca out by Bryan, so my business will continue to be there as well. But I would like to check this place out because it's right in my backyard. So if you're in Fort Lauderdale, check it out. And that's it. That's all I got. Short and sweet, as I said.
All right.
And I think, Cam, you mentioned you had some, what was it, news?
Yes, sir. The news extravaganza is ready to roll.
All right.
Well, okay, there is a company, just sort of sticking with your light transit theme. There's a company that, well, of course, just like everything else, is out in California first, but I'm sure will make its way to the East Coast at some point. It's called Sleep Bus, and I know Brian and Tom, you guys are both sort of big fans of public transportation. This provides an alternative to like taking the Greyhound or taking a light rail or whatever. For $48, you can go from San Francisco to LA. So it leaves San Francisco around 11 p.m. and gets to LA around 6 a.m. And it's $48 each way, one way. And it's like, if you've ever seen like videos of like rock bands with their like really cool buses, you know what I mean? They have those really cool like coaches that have like beds and party areas and all kinds of stuff like that. That's essentially what it is. It's just a big ass bus, like almost like a semi truck type thing, and it's just gutted out and has amazing places for you to sleep, and there's like a little kitchen and bathrooms and all kinds of good stuff for you to use. So if you need to get from one place to another and you don't want to drive, or you just want to be good to the environment, take public trans, that is going to be a viable option for you. So if the light rail doesn't come to fruition, maybe Sleep Bus will help us out.
Yeah, that sounds like comfortable and nice. Yeah.
And even if the light rail does come about, I'd still like to see Sleep Bus because public transportation is still public transportation. You got to sit next to mutants, and I'd much rather have my own little like sleeper compartment and just.
Cam, you're
not at all accustomed to that yet.
Well, yeah, I mean, I basically do it like 3 or 4 nights a week, but hey, I mean, if I can avoid it at all costs, right?
Cam, truly of the people and all about life in the public space.
Yes. Thor Ragnarok has announced that it's added Carl Urban, who played Judge Dredd in the recent reboot, which I think was his most maybe most notable thing. He's played a bunch of stuff, but like I actually like him as an actor. He's a good guy. And Jeff Goldblum. So Thor Ragnarok. I don't know. Are you guys excited for that movie? I figured we're doing something like DC and stuff tonight, so I throw in a little Marvel news story. You guys excited about it?
Yeah, I actually like the Thor movies. They're good. So.
Yeah, the last one was kind of a stinker, I thought, but this one looks pretty cool.
I don't know how much they were joking about it, but one of the stars was recently joking in the newspapers that it's going to be like an intergalactic buddy movie.
No. What?
I think I would love to see that. I'd love to see like Thor and Hulk just like going on crazy adventures, like on a road trip or something.
Palling around.
The Rainbow Bridge is broken. Let's go for a walk.
Oh man, that's funny. No, Carl Urban. I can't even believe I forgot this. He's also plays the Scotty on the Star Trek reboot.
So, okay.
Not Scotty. Bones.
All right, yeah, because Scotty is that other guy.
Simon Pegg, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So that looks. I mean, that Dark World. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but this looks pretty awesome. So I'm looking forward to it. we've been. I don't know why I find this so fascinating, but the ransomware. We've talked a couple times about how it's like they've hacked a bunch of people, and now they've gone after like bigger game, and they hacked that one hospital.
Hospital, right?
Yeah, in California, and the hospital ended up paying like tens of thousands of dollars to get their systems back. Well, they're taking it even further. I guess they hacked Kansas Heart Hospital, apparently in Kansas. And what's even worse is that they paid to get their systems back, and then ransomware was like, "Well, oh, thanks for that, but I think we think you guys are worth a few more $1,000s. Like,
Oh my God, no.
send us more money, or we're not going to do it." So I don't know.
I
I mean,
don't agree.
that's pretty shitty. I mean, it's a heart hospital. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like targeting hospitals. Like there's so many more like dicky entities out there to target.
Yeah.
That you know. Okay. I mean, I don't want to really say too much because then they'll target us. And you know, with our deep pockets, we're a ripe target.
Yeah.
So.
I hate to be like methodical about this, but isn't pay us or else? Oh, just kidding. Kind of like bad business. Like I would be less likely to pay them now. I mean.
Yeah. Well, it says that like I guess when they did that, they basically said no, we're not paying you anymore, and then I guess the ransomware guys were like, okay, fine, here, have it back. I think they restored like partial systems, you know what I mean? And they were like, well, if you want the rest, you know, you got to send us a little more money. And they were like, no, we're not paying you anymore. I mean, we just paid you or whatever. And then I guess they were like, okay, fine, here, take it back.
So they plant malicious software in your systems that like deletes your information until it encrypts and then begins deleting your data until you like pay out, right?
Yeah, it's like almost like a saw type thing where it's like, okay, here's the counter. You have 24 hours. If you don't pay us, it's going to start deleting like file by file, and it basically just puts the gun to your head to like get it done. And they have the encryption keys, and there's they use this crazy level encryption that no regular person is going to be able to break. So at least not within their time frame,
Kind of cool in a way, but like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be a victim, and I don't like who they're targeting.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing if they were like targeting like shitty companies that like people hated, but you can't target a heart hospital. Some guy's going in there for a freaking pacemaker, and he can't, they don't have his records. But it's funny that the law enforcement agencies have like put out like statements like, don't pay them, you can't negotiate with terrorists, et cetera, et cetera. But like, at the same time, they're not doing anything. Like, what are they?
Right. You guys gonna
like, yeah, all right, no, we're not paying them. So what are you guys doing to stop it or fix it? Not that like I'm not down on law enforcement agencies at all. I mean, I get it. You can't stay ahead of everything, but I mean, it really puts you in a prisoner's dilemma.
Yeah, that's.
So
law enforcement has nothing to offer. They're just like, stand on principle here.
Yeah, don't pay. Tom, this is gonna tickle your fancy. We know that the new Nintendo NX is not going to be out until like March 2017.
Yeah.
However, if you are in the New York area in the month of June, 500 lucky fans on June 11th will be able to play the new Zelda at the worldwide New York Nintendo Store headquarters.
Oh, wow. Man, I want to go there.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine what that line is going to be like? Like, or what? I mean,
oh yeah.
You have to like attend a sign-up day. Just June 11th is just the sign-up day.
Yeah, I can imagine, Cam. All the PAX lines I stood in to play Nintendo games, like just stack them all end to end, and then there we go, and then be outside in the heat. Is New York hot in June or what? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess you got to go on the 11th, and if you're one of the lucky people that gets to sign up and play, then you get a wristband and an appointment, and then you have playtime between June 14th and 19th. So you got to go and wait, and then go home and wait some more, and then come back and wait some more, and then play.
To get an appointment. Okay. All right. Yeah. That's Die Hard. Maybe I'll just wait for the game to come out.
Yeah, I can wait till March. And finally, segueing into our topics. DC Comics is folding with the Watchmen back into their main universe, and apparently they're going to be going with Dr. Manhattan as like the main character. So in conjunction with, I guess, what we're going to be talking about tonight, I'm actually looking forward to that. I'm a huge Watchmen fan. I'm a huge Watchmen novel fan. The movie was kind of crap, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that.
Huh. Are they going to have to alter some stuff to make that fit, or?
Oh boy.
Probably, but
yes.
But it's funny. It's funny because we just talked last week about how Marvel or DC is talking, wanting to move away from like the darker, grittier storylines, and then it's like not even a week later, and they're putting in Watchmen, which is like one of the most dark, gritty like storylines you can get.
That question was foolish in retrospect. They're not going to have to redo anything they're not already redoing, so.
You're right.
They can just fold it right in. Makes total sense.
Perfect segue.
For the record, I like DC's darkness and grittiness, and I think they should stick with it.
Me too.
Me too. But I guess dollars are what really counts when you're in business to make money. So there you go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I like it, but I understand why they have to change it. It's like it's almost like, well, all right, so you're going to change it because you want to. I mean, they're selling out for sure, but I mean, who doesn't these days?
True. Okay, so with that said, any more news? That's like a pretty good transition.
That's it.
All right. In that case, let's move on to the topic. Speaking of comics, and Brian, you kind of suggested this one based on some recent developments in the comics world. I think I will just let you kind of introduce the topics and we'll attack them.
Well, I guess Rebirth is supposed to be like a pretty big deal, like kind of like the New 52 or kind of like Flashpoint or all of those things. It's rewriting the DC universe. They did midnight openings. The book is huge, actually. The volume 1 is like 64 pages or something like that. It's actually a really good deal if you're into comic deals. And I don't know. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Like, I don't think people thought they would fold in Watchmen like that. And then, of course, Marvel had to do something zany to kind of like siphon the excitement away or anything. So there was big news with Steve Rogers and Captain America this week, and some people are really not pleased with that, but some people are like, well, come on, it's just a gimmick, and so big shake-up.
They had to sell Steve Rogers #1 somehow, right?
Well, it's probably no coincidence that it happened the same day as Rebirth.
Yeah.
Like, all right, so let's get this out of the way. Like, thank you for joining us. Massive spoilers. We understand if you don't want. Like, just come back next week. And like, there's no way we can talk about this without talking about what happens.
Yep.
I don't know. It's really cheesy. Like, Captain America murders an innocent in cold blood, and then reveals that he's been a Hydra agent for 75 years.
That seems kind of gimmicky. I mean,
doesn't it?
He has done nothing to advance the Hydra cause.
In fact, he's done everything he can to counteract it. You know what I mean?
As a storytelling device, the reader has been in Steve's narration for a lot of those 75 years, and he's never once had a wicked thought. He's never once been like, oh man, I'm gonna have to kill this guy even though he's on my side. Like, it is just absolutely out of nowhere, and I don't think anybody's really buying it. It's the cheesiest gimmick I've ever seen in comics.
Yeah.
I
mean, talk about selling out, right? I mean, it really pissed me off because it's like you can't spend. I mean, how long has Captain America been around? I mean,
75 years. His anniversary this year.
75 years, yeah. And I mean, the guy is I mean, everything about him has been like truth, forthrightness, everything. You can't just like destroy
Nope,
that
you're
brand.
nuts.
Like, it's so stupid. I mean, like, I can sort of liken it a little bit to Superman and how, like, when Superman sort of went into that dark period or whatever, I get it. Like, I would buy that. I would be okay with that because, heroes are fallible. Heroes have, like, dark sides and, whatever. But you can't just be like, oh, everything you know about this guy, completely wrong. Sorry. See ya. Come back for episode 2 or whatever.
Yeah, buy number 2 through 72 to figure out what
Yeah.
what it really means.
It's horseshit.
Yeah, I'm not. Was this, you think, something planned or something they were like, ah, shit, something out? Like,
Everything I've read said that they've been planning it since 2014.
hmm.
But, I mean, they could say anything they want. I mean,
Yeah. So, uh, take me back, and the guy at Corco was kind of reminding me that, on the DC side, New 52 has run its course, like as advertised. Is that correct, or does this feel like an unscheduled pivot to you guys? Because I think implicit in the title was like it was going to have a certain fixed run.
I don't hate the Rebirth nearly as much as I hate the Captain America
Captain
thing.
America, yeah. I was trying to. We'll shield bash that a little bit more in a second. But
we'll really have to see how this plays out because the first issue reveals they really could work it out where New 52 comes to a really logical, that makes perfect sense conclusion and still undo it. Like it's not crap writing, in other words. It's a little gimmicky, but it's well done. Could be really well done. End of Matrix 2, well done.
End of Matrix 2, well done. I'm trying to parse that one.
Matrix 2 ended with a great cliffhanger. It could have gone either way, and then it just went to total shit. But
right, okay.
A lot of people liked how Matrix 2 ended, and they had the great fan theories about, oh, they're going to do this, and it's going to be awesome, and all that kind of stuff. And then no.
Yeah, okay, so contrast that with this Marvel thing, which is there's no
I think what
apology.
bothers me most about the Marvel thing is it's so obviously some kind of ploy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how they do the death of all the time and everything like that? There's usually that, like, oh, the guy, maybe they're killing this guy and someone else is going to pick up the mantle, or maybe, this guy's old, of course they're going to pass it, blah, blah, blah. No one for a second believes that Steve Rogers has really been a Hydra agent for 75 years. Like, everybody's just like, oh, well, I, have to wait to see how this turns out. It's just it's just weak writing.
Yeah. Some of the articles are this guy Nick Spencer, who's one of their editors, basically. I mean, they're not even like disguising the fact that they're trying to sell future episodes. He's like, I guess the interviewer asked him, like, so if we go back and look at older comics, like, is this gonna like hold up, or are we gonna be able to see where you guys have sort of been going? And he's like, yeah, once you get episode issue number 2, and it's going to sort of wind the clock back and let you know and lay out, show you the trail of breadcrumbs, and then sort of lay out a roadmap of what the future issues are going to look like. I mean, he's like, I don't want to say much. I want you to read the book, but so they're like blatantly not even trying to cover it up. They're just saying, oh yeah, go buy issue number 2 and then issue number 3 and issue number 4, and you'll see what we're doing all along.
Okay.
I think the worst thing for me too is, so now the book is called Captain America Steve Rogers, and there's another book called Captain America Sam, I forgot his last name, that's like the new Captain America, like the real Captain America, and he's the pure of heart good guy now. So just retire, Steve, and let the Sam guy take over, man. Like,
Well, I think well, because Steve's been sort of the serum's been breaking down, right? I think he's been getting older in the comics. I haven't really kept up with them, but like I think this is going to be in conjunction with him being sort of restored. So Steve's going to be around for sure. And I think they're going to like revitalize him somehow with more super serum, or maybe this probably will tie. This whole Hydra thing will probably tie into like how he gets restored or whatever. Maybe he's just like a double agent, and he's really just using Hydra to get restored, and then, whatever.
we've already spoiled everything else. So a sentient cosmic cube snaps its fingers, and Steve's restored.
Oh, okay. Well, see.
Speaking of lazy writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget that there's nothing in comics that you can't just undo with like it all took place in a
alternate bubble or
right. It all took place in it wouldn't be Bizarro world, but inverse world in the mind of a cosmic being known as the Inverter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Oh God.
Which it's funny you should bring up like laying the trail of crumbs and all that kind of stuff, because I'm not even a fan of DC all that much, but this could be really cool because in Watchmen, like in the graphic novel, Dr. Manhattan said this really innocent like, oh yeah, just throw it off his cuff, and they capitalized on that, and now they're using it like, what is it, 10, 15 years later?
Mm-hmm.
After just zero development, they're like, no, that happened. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I guess they're saying like there's an episode where Red Skull talks about criminal trespassers who make a mockery of America's borders, and he calls Germany an invading army bringing fanatical beliefs and crime to Europe. And so, I mean, I guess like they're gonna go. I mean, I don't know how much of it is them actually really laying breadcrumbs as they went, or now going back and shoehorning certain things, like you said, like the whole Dr. Manhattan off the cuff remark. Like, I don't know if they're just like sort of shoehorning things, or if it's actually by design, or maybe a little bit of both.
I can't imagine it's by design. Like it's just too innocent, and there's no way I mean, I don't think, especially DC, smart enough to leave it like sit dormant for 10 years like this. Like,
yeah,
I think it's brilliant. I think it's a great way to capitalize on it, but no, you could not convince me it was by design.
Yeah, it's like fortune tellers. You can go back and read anything, and you know what I mean.
Right.
It's like you'll have a prosperous day, and you can read like anything into that.
Yeah, I'm not sure where to go from here.
Well, let's do this. So Brian, like it's funny, like Brian and Tom, you guys are much more, I guess, on the comic front than I am in terms of you guys actually go to the stores and buy comics, or I had a subscription to the Marvel service for a while, and like I like the comics. I try to keep up with them, but I just have so much other stuff going on. There's just no way. But as hardcore comic lovers, will this make any difference to you in terms of your buying patterns, reading patterns, etc.? Which I suspect, and I'll let you guys answer, but I suspect your answer is going to be no. It's just going to be status quo. It's just another thing that happened. And then, do you think that this will attract or put off readers that are more of the casual nature? And I can sort of talk about that after you guys are done, because I would put myself, not in a super casual end of the spectrum, but like definitely not as far as you guys on the spectrum.
First DC book I bought in probably 10 years.
Okay. So it actually caused you to buy it.
Yeah. I read Star Wars. I read like all kinds of westerns, sci-fi, punk, anything like that. Like I don't really do superheroes, but I'm really interested in how they. I mean, we know what they're going to do. I'm interested in how they're going to do it, especially with. I don't know. Watchmen is as close as you get to like a holy book in comics. You can't dig that up, or people are going to be so pissed at you. So they're really going to have to stay kind of true to that, I think.
So you as a hardcore comic guy, this actually caused you to buy a book that you probably otherwise wouldn't have.
I probably won't stay with like, because dude, I hate, you know, issue 1 of X-Men, you have to buy issue 378 of Avengers, and then
Yeah.
you have to buy, like, I hate all the
All the crossovers.
tie-ins and everything like that. There's no way I'll be able to keep up with it. I'm not buying 30 books a month, but I'll probably read the main storyline.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm with Brian, and you. I think I'm kind of a casual when it comes to comics, honestly. Like, I will occasionally follow a storyline of Nightcrawler, like one of my heroes from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
But I try, like back when the New 52 launched, I like, okay, I'm reading, and then I'm grabbing this book, then I'm grabbing that one, then I'm grabbing that one, then I'm grabbing this, and then and like it quickly like ballooned beyond where I could keep up because I wasn't a subscriber.
Gotcha.
This might change my personal buying habits because I do want to check out that new comic store that's opening, and I want to give them business. So I might be like, oh yeah, subscribe me to the new DC stuff as it comes out. Once that grows into a high dollar habit, and
Next month.
yeah, next month when it's like 5,000 books, I may or may not stick with it because my problem is with comics, they're kind of like Netflix for a lot of people. Like I collect them, I make sure to get them every month when I can, and then I just binge read. Like I'm probably 10 issues behind all the Star Wars stuff right now, but I'm planning a reading binge pretty soon to catch back up. But with the DC stuff, man, it just explodes. Like one node leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. Then you've got this massive like tree you have to read, and like it can be daunting. It can be daunting for a casual comic reader. So it's still up in the air whether or not this is going to cause me to buy more or less.
I don't really like trade paperbacks because I'm old enough to have valued finding missing issues and can't read anymore until you find this one and have to look for it, and that was part of the fun of collecting to me as a kid. But this is the perfect story for a trade paperback. Just wait till it's done and there'll be like a hardcover $50 book with like probably 24 issues in it, and just read that through and you'll love it. Like read it like a traditional novel and you'll love it.
Yeah. That's actually not a bad idea. I like sometimes being there at the ground floor when something like this happens, and so that's going to be my undoing here. What about you, Cam? It sounded like you wanted to weigh in with how you think you're going to be affected.
No, I would, well, especially with the Captain America stuff, definitely would not. I wouldn't give them a penny for that storyline.
Yeah.
But as far as I was actually thinking the same thing, Brian. And we talked about it with that Night of the Seven Kingdoms thing with the Game of Thrones or whatever, Song of Ice and Fire. Those graphic novels that sort of got put together into like a prequel book to the Martin series. I would definitely do that. Especially if it was like on an e-reader service or whatever. Just wait until it's all done and they slap it together into like one like nice big novel or one nice big package, and just pay a couple bucks, download it onto my tablet and read it. I definitely would do that. For Rebirth, not for Captain America.
It's funny. I think both Brian and I like completely did not even address Rebirth. We were just like, yeah, you meant the stuff that we actually want to read, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'll probably read the news story in 6 months or whatever when, Cap pulls off his head and it was this guy all along or something stupid like that. But I shouldn't laugh at this. This is serious, and people should not do this or whatever. This is really bad. But apparently, the book came out today, and the guy's getting death threats already.
Holy shit!
All right,
I open the news and like, Captain America writer gets death threats on Twitter.
Calm down, dorks. It's not
real. Not that bad. It's not that bad.
Seriously.
First off, it's just a comic book.
He's not going to be an agent of Hydra. Give me a break.
I think that's what confuses me so much. It's no one believes he's really an agent of Hydra.
Yeah, so what's with the death threats? You know that there's going to be a plot twist eventually.
Just a shitty plot. Don't buy the book for a few months, man.
Right.
Or don't read the book. Believe me, I get it. You want to complete your collection, but
All right. Well, I think we've all sort of weighed in on this comics and news, and I'm kind of curious to see how it plays out. But based on your recommendation, Brian, I'm going to give Rebirth a shot. I don't.
It really is like 48 pages for $2.99. It's a great. I mean, if you never read another one, this single book is a decent comic.
It's a great value in comics. Okay. Your advice will be heeded, and I will likely take the plunge. At the new Lauderdale Comics here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I plug these places like they're our sponsors, but I just want good things for the community down here. So, Cam, can you get a contract together for a sponsorship?
Certainly. I don't know. I can't promise I'll sign it, but
just strong arm them. Do your lawyer magic. Make them sign it. All right. Anything else you guys want to discuss about this topic before we adjourn?
I think we're good.
All right. Okay. Well, with that said, I will remind our listeners that we are not actually another podcast in disguise working against ourselves, and have not been since we became unthawed from World War II something. I try to fit that weird Captain America story into us, but it just doesn't work. What does fit though is regular listeners downloading our podcast, subscribing to it, checking it out, giving us maximum stars. Check us out. We are on iTunes, we are on Stitcher, and we are on Google Play Music. I have really been enjoying Google Play Music if you're on an Android device. I uninstalled all my other third-party pod catchers, and that's all I use now.
Like us on Facebook, add us on Twitter and Instagram. Follow us in your Google circle, and join the Nerdstravaganza HQ group on Facebook to tell us what you think of these stories, even if you disagree.
Head on over to our website, nerdstravaganza.com, to check out this and all of our back episodes. Check us out on YouTube. All of our video content is there for your eyeball pleasure. Just type Nerdstravaganza into the handy-dandy search bar, and we will come up in all of our glory. And send us an email at nerdstravaganza@gmail.com.
And with all that said, Brian, or Captain Ganza as you're known, take us away.
Hail Hydra!
Hail Hydra!
By the way, the Hail Hydra with the two fists in the air was like that got a lot of eye rolls and groans in the movie back when that movie came out.
Yeah.
It's kind of dumb, but whatever. All right, good night, everybody.
Okay, see ya.